Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Waldo Waldman interview this past Monday. I mean, this guy is just an unbelievable human being, an unbelievable speaker, an unbelievable fighter pilot back in his day, and just an unbelievable role model for me to try to model myself after and to take lessons from and to learn from his experiences and all his knowledge and everything like that. There's so much great knowledge in his book. I love his book, Never Fly Solo, because one of the things that sometimes I dislike about books in terms of self-help and self-improvement is they don't necessarily give you actionable steps to take away that you can start implementing into your life, but he makes sure that at the beginning of every single chapter, he gives a story from his fighter pilot days usually, and then gives his lesson that he learned from it and kind of how he applied it to either his real life or his business life. And that's something that you can take away from each and every chapter from his book that you can start to apply in his life. So make sure that you check out his book, Never Fly Solo. He gave an amazing offer to everybody. If you text the word wingman, WINGMAN, to the number 44222, again, wingman to 44222, then all you got to do is put your email address in, and then he sends you the Audible audiobook completely for free. And it's a $20 on Audible, and he sends it completely free. So it's a great offer and something you definitely want to check out. And I hope you just enjoyed his interview. And if you did, make sure you go back and leave a rating review for the podcast. Let me know what you liked. Let me know maybe what I could have done better, what I could have asked that you maybe wanted to hear. That way I can be of service to you guys as much as possible, and I can make sure that I'm helping you guys get closer to the best version of yourself in the best way that I know how, because that's what this podcast is for. It's free content, bring you amazing people on here for free, because I want you to learn the lessons that they have to offer from based off of their experiences, so that you can learn from them and get closer to the best version of yourself. So make sure you leave a rating and review to let me know what you think. But other than that, let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is be an empty vessel. I loved this phrase, empty vessel. Like, obviously he kind of used that from his fighter pilot terms, but I just think it's so important to make sure that you go into every conversation hoping to learn something by the end of it. And I think that's something that I try to consciously work on every single day. It's not something that I'm great at every single conversation that I go into, but if you go in with the willingness to learn something out of that conversation. I kind of learned that from Celeste Headley, who I interviewed about having a better conversation, is if you go in with the willingness to learn something outside of it, that way you're fully present in that conversation and you're fully committed to listening whatever they have to say, and you're not developing your response before they finish. And that's something he's working on every single day. Like, he surrounds himself with people who are better than him in the areas that he wants to improve in. So he's surrounding himself with different fathers and listening to how they interact with his kids and things that they do, so that he can up his game and being a better father for his kids and being a better husband and all these different areas of life that he's trying to improve in. So basically, make sure you surround yourself with people who are better than you, and make sure you're an empty vessel around them. And then the last thing is be okay with criticism, not judgment. He said judgment's never good, but be okay with criticism, and that way you can start to evaluate if that criticism is accurate, and you can start making the necessary adjustments that you need to in order to improve yourself. Number 2 is prepare for the mission. Again, I love his terminology that he uses based off all of his fighter pilot experiences. But prepare for the mission. He said they always studied the threat. They knew the technology. They practiced with each other. They call each other out so that they know and are fully prepared with all the contingencies that may happen in a mission. Like, there's never going to be, whatever situation that you go in, 99% of the time, everything isn't going to play out how you expected it to. So you have to try to prepare for all the nuances, all the contingencies, all the things that might screw up, all the things that might go wrong, so that you have an immediate response to those particular things, and you don't have to waste time, and you don't have a less than successful mission. So whatever it is, try to prepare, try to visualize, and do all those things. Immerse yourself into the situation visually in your head before you actually go into it, so you can kind of interpret all those things that might happen that you wouldn't necessarily prepare to happen otherwise. So, and really what this preparation does is it breeds confidence. Make sure you don't wing it, because if you wing it, if you have a lack of preparation, that's what's going to produce fear. A lot of times when we go into situations fearful, like with the actual feeling of fear, it's because we didn't prepare. Like, nervousness is different from fear. If you're nervous, that just means that you really care about that situation and you care to perform well. But if you have fear, that means you didn't prepare well, and you kind of know subconsciously that you didn't fully prepare in your best possible way. And if you go in with a little bit more confidence, that means you prepared in the best way possible and you evaluated the contingencies and you studied the threat. Number 3 is fly into your fears. Again, using his terminology because I love it. He has certain fears that you just can't even imagine how a fighter pilot would deal with these fears. His first fear was a fear of heights. Like as a fighter pilot, you're thousands of feet up in the air. And then when he went to the Air Force, he realized he had to jump off this huge diving board before he graduated. And so he dove right into it. He faced that fear. The next fear he had was claustrophobia. Again, as a fighter pilot, how do you even have claustrophobia? It's ridiculous how he was able to deal with that. And I don't know if you remember his story from the interview, but he was scuba diving and he had a panic attack underwater when he was scuba diving. He thought he was going to die. And that's kind of when he first realized he had claustrophobia. And then he had the same panic attack up in the air in this small little jet, in this small F-16. And then he went in to almost every single mission in the back of his head knowing that he was claustrophobic and knowing that the potential of a panic attack was there, but he still went right into it. And he had that fear with starting his business too. But if you fly into your fears and you fully attack them and commit yourself to trying to overcome them, then you really see what you're capable of. If you never go into something that you're fearful of, then you're never going to know what your true potential is. So if there's something that's scaring you, but you think that it could actually benefit you in a particular way, like skydiving or like some things like snakes, like those fears you don't necessarily have to face, right? Because on the other side of those fears isn't necessarily growth, isn't necessarily improvement. But if there are fears that you know if you overcome them, there's going to be growth, there's going to be development from that. Find a way to face them and fly directly in them so that you can see what you're fully capable of. So again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1, be an empty vessel. Make sure you surround yourself around people who are better than you and that you're willing to take their criticism, not their judgment. Number 2 is prepare for the mission. Make sure you fully visualize the things that might go wrong before you go into a situation so that you know how to quickly react to them. Number 3 is fly into your fears. You never know what you're fully capable of until you face a fear that you know growth and that you know development is on the other side of. So I hope you guys really enjoy these 3 takeaways. I hope you enjoy the interview with Waldo Waldman. If you haven't listened to it yet, I'm telling you, you're missing out. You want to go back and listen to it. Again, if you would do me a huge favor and leave me a rating and review, that'd be awesome. Share it with a friend because I know that this episode is going to be so valuable for so many people and so powerful that all you have to do is click the share button and send a text message real quick and they'll get the information. What better way to be a good friend than to send somebody some positive information, some positive lessons and experiences to help them get closer and closer to their best you.